Welcome into the DNVR Avalanche podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Use code DNVR when you sign up for a new account to get amazing odds boosts every single day. Megan, Rudo, and AJ coming to you live as the Avs win over the Ottawa Senators 5-4. One that was wild, maybe got a little bit closer than you would have liked. Also, a lot of positives to take out of it. Not the refereeing, though. We'll get into it. All of it, top to bottom here. 60-second run. God, can I fit this game into 60 seconds? Boy, I'm going to try, but I don't know how well I can do this. We'll see.
3, 2, 1, go.
Perfect start for the Avs. They start strong. They dominate the first 10 minutes of the game. They pick up 2 goals for it. One, a great play from your stars. Rantanen feeds Makar. Great finish to go up 1-0. They earn a power play. They're able to finish off of that play. A beautiful tip from Val Nichushkin just crosses the goal line. Good play there. The second half of the first period, Ottawa did push back. The Avs survived most of it. Unfortunately, a late power play opportunity goes the way of Ottawa. They score in the last 30 seconds of the period to make it 2-1, make it competitive. Second period, the first half of it, kind of both teams throwing haymakers. They both pick up a goal. Mikko's able to get a tip on the Avs side. Was it Josh Pinto on? Was that Pinto? Was Shane Pinto? Sorry. I think for Ottawa's goal to make it 3-2. And then the Avs did what they needed to do at the end of the second period. They score twice more to make it 5-2, which ended up being enough. They survive a third period where Ottawa pushes back. They get a little bit of the benefit of the doubt from the refs. The Avs got plenty of positives earlier. It gets to 5-4, but the Avs are able to hold on in the end, win the game. We'll get into a little bit more detail on all of that here as we actually break things down a little bit. But look, we always say for Colorado, it starts with the top. And you absolutely got what you needed out of your top, right? MacKinnon, 3-point night. Mikko, 3-point night. Makar, 2-point night.
Well, and a guy playing on your top line, and Evan Rodriguez gets a goal for
Finally breaks through a little bit. You feel real good about him getting that.
You get one depth goal.
Yep.
It's kind of
we'll talk about it.
Kind of the ultimate fluky goal.
Yeah.
And then you get one huge save from Jonas Johansson at the end.
Yep. A little bit of everything, and it was just enough to get the job done. As they say, they don't ask how. They only ask how many.
I think there's going to be a lot of questions about how on that 5th Avalanche goal.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. And we will dive into that conversation. But at the end of the day, 2 points is 2 points. The Avs now 3-0 on this road trip. Feeling pretty darn good. Especially you put your third string goalie in net and you're still able to do what you need to do. Rewind it back. Go back to the start of this hockey game. Megan, the Avs... Is this a prototypical start? Prototypical? Yeah, that's a word. For a SEGABABA, Colorado comes out. They have their legs early. They get that 2-goal lead. Is that just A1, knowing they're going to run out of gas later? Or is that just they're not even thinking about later and just playing quality hockey?
It does seem like a strategy they've alluded to before in the past, that even though they don't come right out and say that they play a little more conservatively at the end, but it's because they earn it in what they do at the start. And some of that's true, because we talked about yesterday too, how had yesterday's game been different if they came out a little bit stronger, a little bit hotter. Sure. And we talked about how the difference is it just matters the final outcome. And this is kind of a game that is in response to that, where, okay, well, this is what happens when you come out with a strong start. However, you have to have a strong finish to your periods too. And so there really isn't, it's not by itself the winning formula for success to have strong starts on the second leg of a back-to-back.
Yeah.
But it is pretty important, because you know that energy level, even at the end of a period, is going to dip. And so that's why you have the strong start. It makes a lot of sense. It's not the only way that they know how to win, as evidence from yesterday, but it's important on back-to-backs for that reason.
And look, I think in the first period, the reason you shouldn't be scared of anyone if you're Colorado was on display. The Avs' best players are just better than Ottawa's best players. At 5-on-5 on the power play doesn't matter. They just go out there and make plays that Ottawa cannot stop.
Yeah. When those guys play with energy and they're flying around and the legs are moving early on in a game, you can just see they're so much better than most other teams.
Yep. It's not for a team like Ottawa, and Ottawa's not a bad team. I'm not knocking them. They're probably outside of the playoff race at this point, but we're in the ballpark of it.
They had to win this game.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't just where they were in the standings, but you have a team on a SEGABABA that played that went into a shootout last night.
Yep.
Like fought tooth and nail for the points they got last night. And they had to have that.
Yeah.
Like they got a gift from the schedule gods and gave it right back.
Capitalize it.
Yeah.
You get to the Avs' second goal, a beautiful tip by Nichushkin on the power play. The Avs' power play continues to look pretty darn good. Just of note, we'll get to the full conversation later. It was not much of a penalty to put the Avs on that power play. They called it a hold. Really wasn't a hold there.
Thus began
A night for the referees.
an adventurous evening for the officials with a lot of what you could generously describe as unique interpretations of the rules.
And look, it comes back both ways. The Avs do kill 2 penalties in the first period.
Mm-hmm.
I know they end up giving up 2 power play goals. Don't think the PK was that bad tonight.
Yeah, I agree. And it's especially frustrating when the 2 that you give up were 2 that you don't think are penalties.
Yep.
Like when you go and watch them, you don't think that you're just looking at it and you're like, that's not a penalty, man.
It's certainly the one in the third period.
I didn't like the new hook.
I agree.
Mhm. Earlier.
Agree.
Yep.
I
The
don't.
third one of the first period. It's just
I see what you're saying.
yeah, that interference call. What did he interfere with? What are you talking about? It's made up.
Yeah. I don't know. And again, the Avs benefited plenty from the poor refereeing in this game themselves.
Yeah, I mean,
This
we
is
can
not-
just talk about the 5th goal.
Yeah, go ahead. This is not the Avs versus the refs and Ottawa. This is just a horrible night from the referees all the way around.
It's 2 teams trying to play a hockey game where the third team is making a huge difference.
Yep.
I mean, you mentioned the call that puts the Avs on the power play, gives them a 2-0 lead. Now Ottawa's chasing the game. All right, well then they kind of give you a makeup call, certainly made up, on Newhook at the end of the first period, and then they score on that. That makes it 2-1. You kind of feel at that point it was even.
Yep.
You know, the power play opportunities are pretty close. It's 3-2.
They both got one.
Each
on a
team has one
questionable
on a call that
Yeah.
probably shouldn't have existed. And so you're kind of feeling like, okay, like this is
You can
okay.
settle into a hockey game now.
Yeah, and instead it went the other way. It just continued to get worse.
Yep.
And then you have the 5th Avalanche goal. You know, it's 4-2. You're getting close to the end of the second period, and they call off icing, which, however you feel about them calling it off, it was very, very clearly called off.
Which is
because
fine.
you can go back and listen to that replay, and you hear the linesman screaming "no ice," so it's not icing. And then I can't recall a time where a goaltender clearly covers a puck, and the ref
Thinks
just
the play is over.
yeah, the ref just doesn't do anything, and there's no way the ref standing where he is can see that puck, and he sees that it's being it should be covered. It's covered,
Even
and then Sogard just stops and uncovers it, and you're like,
well, and that's the baffling part to me is even Eller, who ends up scoring the goal, is initially like, okay, I've stopped.
He's
Play's
the
done.
second av in there,
Yeah, right? Like,
He's the second av to just the
usual crowd
they
around
conjugate
you,
around the
yeah.
net, like, hey guys, how's it going? Wonderful weather today. Great hockey game we're playing today. And then there's no whistle, and so Lars Eller sees the puck and just pokes at it, gets it, and it's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous goal. If that happened in the Avalanche, I'd be apoplectic. Like, it's a ridiculous goal that should never have happened.
The way Sanderson and O'Connor are standing at the net front, motionless.
Yeah.
They also
Yeah.
O'Connor is intentionally not playing for the puck there because he thinks the play was stopped as well.
Yep.
Like, I'm sure he was just as surprised to see Eller tap it in.
It's just, I would have gotten thrown out of the game if I was the coach of the Ottawa Senators and that happened. Like, insanity that it went down like that. And I get it. You know what? Ottawa does have to play to the whistle, but 99.99999% of the time, the whistle blows.
You have a very legitimate. What is the official doing when Sogard clearly has it covered?
Yep.
He uncovers it after that. Okay, but where the official is standing in the corner, what is he doing?
Don't know.
It's just absurd.
Well,
it's absurd.
And you get the flip side of that at the end of the game, where JoJo makes some saves. He ends up in a super weird position, and the puck comes out to the front of the net.
Yeah.
From under him, and the refs then, that one is blown down.
Right.
And it's like, boy.
And I tell you, I think that actually was an advantage for Ottawa, because that puck squirts into the corner where they don't. And Tim Stützle is over there, but he's going to retrieve it. And all he can do is get that puck and throw it at the front of the net and pray something good happens. Whereas a set play off the face-off actually was advantage
proper
them.
Shot. And sure,
but either way, like, you see the interpretation, you see how they handle those two situations where they're not blowing the whistle when they should, and then the other one where you can easily argue they blow it too soon.
Yeah. Again, when you go into a hockey game, I get it. Every ref is going to call things a little bit differently. You're just asking for consistency.
Certainly didn't get that tonight.
No.
Well, and then not just that, but then the third period,
yeah,
you just keep watching Ottawa get gifts of calls.
That Taves tripping was weird.
It's literally a phantom call, right? Like, there's nothing there. I have no explanation.
Falling.
Yeah, the stick is near him.
Yeah, it's coincidentally there.
Yeah, but it's not contacting him, and it's not tripping him. It would be like if you got up out of your chair right now and fell over, and we blamed the microphone. Yeah, it's near you. Like,
please don't get out of your chair and fall.
It was so absurd, and it was such an optics call because he was coming around with speed and he just loses the edge.
Yeah,
and they were just like, "Yeah, let's give it to him."
As if they hadn't already given them multiple calls throughout this game, and not that the Avs didn't get calls.
They
also
benefited from some too.
Oh no, it's fine. And again, this is not the Avs versus the refs. I'm not saying they did the Avs dirty. The refs were just bad all the way around.
No, it was everyone else versus the refs.
Yeah. It was like, some of these goals you could assign to the officials? What's the score of this game? If you pull away all of the official designated nonsense, where you're like, these are made up calls, power play goals are getting scored.
3-2 without the refs, probably.
Yeah.
You're literally looking at 4 goals put on the refs.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. So Newhooks comes back, Ehlers comes back.
Nichushkin in the first period.
Yeah.
Nichushkin.
And then you had 2 questionable power play goals from Ottawa.
Yeah.
So even like, maybe this is an overtime right now, and it's 2-2.
Who knows?
I don't know. It's tough.
The Nuggets game won. They won first.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's how she goes.
Also, we're not in the basement.
Yeah, we're actually on
I
the
didn't
top
think
floor.
it looked that dark.
Yeah, it's very funny.
No, yeah, like, I don't think that looks that bad, but people are suggesting it's by candlelight, and it's kind of funny.
Better that way. People don't want to see my face. You can dim the lights.
Yeah,
it's
funny that they didn't pay the electricity bill, and I've got like bright lights, like yeah, like they're like what? This is like 3 feet from me,
if that.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, I might be able to kick. I totally can't because I have tiny short legs.
But
flip
the shoe off and give it a.
Oh, I could if the aim was good. Yeah, I could definitely snag that thing with a shoe.
And it's a weird night, and
it was a really weird game that it felt like it was almost 3 different games.
Yeah,
where it was a different game per period.
Yep.
Where that first game this is the Avs just coming out and beating up on Ottawa. Ottawa fought back late, but again, you have questionable officiating that kind of dictates the game flipping on its head.
Yep.
But then you get a second period where, again, the Avs just kind of went out and outplayed Ottawa. And then that fifth goal at the end of it is the one where you're like, what is this? But again, you get 2-1, 2-1. The Avs are winning this game pretty easily. And then you get a really frustrating third period.
It was 2-1, 3-1, really.
The nice thing is, it was obviously like bailing on the other goal.
I get you.
I think the most positive part of this is that very rarely did you feel like they were on a SEGABABA. The legs held until the very, very, very end when they were killing penalties
the last
8 minutes of the game. Yeah. That was not great.
And look, I'm not even digging the Avs for that. That's just the reality of the schedule.
Absolutely. I mean, that's just human nature. I mean, you're just tired.
Yep.
Like, come on.
There's only so much gas in the tank. But I do, moving away from the refs, I do think the Avs deserve a ton of credit tonight for, sure, they got the benefit of the doubt on some plays from the refs. Sure, some things went their way. But far too often this year, we've seen them fail to capitalize on the opportunities provided them.
Mm-hmm.
That was not the case tonight. They went in and they finished the plays they needed to. They scored 5 goals, and 5 was enough.
Yeah, and we talked about if they played Jonas Johansson. We did our pregame before we knew who was in net.
Yep.
We talked about if they played Jonas Johansson that they would probably just have to outscore their problems tonight.
And they did.
And that's, it really does feel bad that the game-winning goal is just the nonsense one.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like...
And like, that goal gets even more nonsense since we're in the room. We can just talk about it. Megan, would you have challenged that if you were Ottawa? I still don't fully. It was goalie interference challenge, right? Where we've gone over this play like 3 times in the past 2 months.
Yeah,
it's just not goalie interference.
No, which is tough for Ottawa because I would have wanted to challenge it, but the reason is what makes it a little bit difficult.
Yeah,
like can you say that the linesman interfered with the goaltender? There's something philosophical there, I think, could have been argued.
Yeah, like a deeper conversation.
Right, you interfered with his hopes and dreams.
Can that be? Can we have a stat where how many assists do a linesman get at the end of the season?
Right, we're looking at that Cogliano in the field clear Vancouver game. Recently, we were talking about it the other day.
Exactly.
And there's moments like that where I understand from a coach's perspective why they'd want to challenge. It's just goaltender interference being the reason there.
Yep.
Is tough. I think it failing as a challenge is the right call. I'm sympathetic for Ottawa.
It felt like a Hail Mary of like if they give this 5th goal to them.
Probably over
I would have
anyway.
challenged it.
Yeah. I would have too.
Fair.
I absolutely would have.
Totally
because
fair.
I think that there was enough room for interpretation. It was a weird play. And you could probably talk yourselves into they really don't want to award this goal. They really don't want to. But they also, once the play unfolded the way that it did, you just didn't have...
Toronto's not going to make something up.
Exactly. You just didn't have a
Yeah.
leg to stand on to take it off the board at that point.
Yep.
So understood the challenge. It went the way that it was supposed to, but I don't know.
All right. Well, with the brightening of the room, if you're in a room this bright, you might want to get your shady rays.
Not one thing changed on our end.
Yeah, right. It's
and
exactly
the room looks
the
totally
same.
different. It's very funny.
Shady Rays, they got tons of different sunglasses designs for any style you might want, whether it be aviators or I don't even know what they're called, but the crazy ones that I have that are like huge and rimless.
The Mitch Marners.
The Mitch Marners. Perfect.
Ooh,
that's what they're called now. Yeah. Either way, they got you covered. They have tons of other designs. They even have ski and snowboard goggles. If you're a fan of going up to the mountains, you can get 50% off your order at shadyrays.com with code DNVR when you buy 2 sunglasses or more. It's buy a pair, get a pair free. The best part is when you buy, if you don't like them, send them back. They'll replace them or refund you within 30 days. If you break them, send them back. They'll replace them with a pair that isn't broken. They take care of you over at Shady Rays. If you're local here in Colorado, they also have a physical location at Park Meadows Mall. So check them out today, shadyrays.com. They have my favorite part's their polarization. If you want like sunglasses that look blue, they got it. You want the sepia brown, they got it. You want green, they got it. You want yellow, they got it. Whatever color you want your face to look like, they got you covered with Shady Rays.
Rudo, do they have orange?
Yeah.
You're supposed to say they got it.
I've done too many cliches already today.
Damn. Can't trust anybody with a bit.
You could trust that car alarm to be going off for the rest of the show.
Is that one of ours?
Could be.
I don't know. Maybe.
Could be.
Yeah, I know we all had some.
We're in a dicey spot.
Yeah, we had some. You and I specifically
Yeah,
had
you
some
too.
iffy parking choices today.
Also brought to you by Pins and Aces, our official golf apparel merchandiser. We gave away one of our golf towels today for the giveaway at the bar.
Those things are really cool.
They're so cool. I really, really want one.
The funniest thing is I think our best gear is our golf gear.
I agree. The hats,
Yeah,
I like the hats.
The hats and the towels
They're
are
so good.
So good.
they're so good. So get over to pinsandaces.com. Get your golf apparel. They got the hats. They've got the polos. They got the pants. They also have the beer sleeve, which goes in your golf bag. So you can carry your beers onto the golf course in your bag easy. You don't have to deal with like carrying a 6-pack around and all that. It just goes right in your bag. You're good to go. Get on the golf course. Use DNVR code at pinsandaces.com to get 10% off your order and free shipping. Jump on it. Second period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. You get into the second period. Megan, how did you feel about the second in this one? I know the end result when it's 5-2 you feel great about, but certainly through the early stretches it felt like the push came from Ottawa. Are you happy with the way the Avs weathered it, or did you want a stronger start to that period?
I actually credited the Avs for how they started the period, given how the first had ended.
Sure.
On
Given
this
that
new
goal.
hook
Yeah.
penalty that already felt weird. And so I actually feel like with Mikko Rantanen scoring in second to open it up again, I actually did like that response and gave them credit. There's kind of this frame in between like the Pinto goal that gets allowed that is reminiscent of the first goal against yesterday, just in terms of how it broke down in the offensive zone and led to transition the other way. So didn't love that, but honestly the response from Evan Rodriguez, Rantanen, I can't really ask for more. Even setting aside the weirdness of the Eller goal, I still think that's a good period from the Avs, and I'm proud of the response to the end of that first.
Believe outshot, outscoring chance, out high danger chance.
Which was a change, I think, from the first period even.
Yeah, the second half of the first, Ottawa
Started to gain
came
a
back
little bit
pretty
of an
hard
edge.
on
Avs
them,
still had
for
the
sure.
possession edge, but like shots specifically.
Yep. The Avs got to 10 shots pretty quick and then watched Ottawa catch and pass them. So
It was a pretty dominant effort, too, because in the second period, they played 18:09 at 5v5. And shots were 14-10 for the Avs, but 18-8 in scoring chances.
Wow, that's
That's great.
6-1 in high danger.
so that's
Pretty
hard
good.
to complain
Yeah,
about
hard
that.
to
Yeah.
complain.
You're really talking about putting your foot down on the game. With a 2-1 lead walking in, you give up, you
Aw, are you getting one for you?
score one, you're feeling really good, and then you give the one up, you don't feel as good. But
you
the
get it back,
the fourth goal was the one where you were like, they're winning this game.
Yep.
Then the fifth goal, you were just like, the universe is on their side.
Yeah, for sure.
The universe did a thing for them in defense of the schedule bullshit that they're facing.
I do want to bring up the second and third goal here quickly. Personally, I felt like at times, more often than not this season, the puck luck has not gone the Avs' way. And I get it's hard to draw the line of where puck luck is. It's a great tip by Val. It's a great tip by Mikko. But you can only do so much with a tip, right? When you're tipping a puck, you're kind of controlling it into a general direction.
Mm-hmm.
And then if it goes in the net, there's some positive luck there, put it that way.
Sure.
Certainly over these last couple of games, it's felt to me like we've seen the Avs starting to get those puck bounces, starting to get some things breaking their way.
Yeah.
One, do you agree with that assessment? Two, it's incredible how much better this team looks when they're getting those breaks.
And it's not even so much, I think, about getting the breaks as it's you get the break, but you don't have a lot of them happening to you at the same time.
Sure.
Because I think they lost a handful of games this year where they outplayed teams, but because they got a tip here or a tip there, and the Avs, again, there was a point in time this year where the Avs were so injured that their margin of error just could
it was too
not
thin.
survive
Yep.
the randomness beating them as well. And so I do think it's twofold, that it's it's not so much happening to them as often as it was earlier in the year, and they are starting to get a little bit of it here and there.
It definitely feels more balanced, especially in the ebbs and flow of the season, because even as recently as the Montreal game with Georgiev and net, the first 2 goals felt like weird, not benefiting from puck luck moments that are pretty recent to now, where we see Mikko's goal yesterday, now Nichushkin's goal tonight, benefiting from it. So it does feel just a little bit more balanced, even just in this recent stretch.
And I know we're maybe not the biggest fans of you make your own luck statement in that conversation, but they do a better job of putting themselves in situations to get lucky.
Yeah, and when you get lucky in a situation where you have guys in front of the net, you throw a puck there and it hits off of you and it goes in, like in a lot of ways, you can look at it and say you made your own luck. There are plenty of situations, like the Rantanen goal in Toronto last night isn't really making their own luck.
No, because I think Nichushkin had that.
Yeah, I mean, we all agree. I mean, he's passing that puck, and it was just sort of a thing that broke Colorado's way. Where you're like, okay, because he's not trying to shoot, he's trying to make a pass on the back door, and the defender makes a decent play to get in the middle of it, and then makes too good of a play. And like in that one, you're looking at it and you're like, this is just a good break for the Avs.
For sure.
It doesn't feel as much of a making their own luck. The 5th goal today feels like a.
I mean, that one's just nonsense.
Yeah,
right?
you're not making that luck. That's just a thing that it just breaks your way, and you kind of just shrug it off and say, okay, like we'll take that. That's just life sometimes. Like sometimes that stuff just goes your way, and sometimes it doesn't. But where we've seen a change in the Avs is that they've played well enough to survive it happening to them, and when it happens for them, they build off of it. They don't just throw it away and say, well, that's the only goal we got today.
Sure.
Sorry.
Sure. They're able to feed off of it a little bit for sure.
Yeah.
On that note, thank you for getting us to 100 likes, chat. We appreciate it. We will do our Dr.
Dungeon
Dubs.
shots.
Dungeon shots here for it.
Dungeon shots.
Absolutely.
P.S. Tiff has one. She got one.
Yep.
It is suspiciously clear, though. Do you think?
She got something different.
There's no way anybody is eating
A lime.
Thank
with
you.
Yeah.
I'm like the green fruit.
The green fruit.
A lime after a shot of water.
Would really sell it, though. Like, this is a good note. Just
Yeah.
There you go. You
keep
get the
with you.
lime and people will
People will
believe.
believe it.
Yeah.
Actually, like being a former bartender, I have tons of tricks like that because people would buy me shots. I'm like, I can't get hammered, guys.
Yeah.
I'm poor.
We need to
See, it's actually a lime that she ate earlier, and so all she has to do is, it's already there, and then, yep, it is water. Yahtzee.
Calculated plays. I mean, I don't even know.
Kind of talking about luck.
Yeah.
What is goalie interference? I'm just kidding.
If
Not
you
now.
had
Oh, we're having existential conversations.
Not now. Not now.
the answer to that question is 42. I think. If you know the answer to that one, you have the answer to life. I don't know. But I do think there is, for lack of better terms, a difference between, hey, a lucky play that just happens to you and one that you earn a little bit more.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And the Avs do both.
Yeah, right. They get both today. And
Well, they get a little of all of them in sweeping Canada.
there you go.
They go
Good
3-0
call,
in
good call.
Canada
Yeah,
this week,
yeah.
and that's what you get for trying to take bald eagles. All right? They're ours. Stop it.
Do bald eagles live in Canada? Is that
Yeah.
a thing?
Most of them are actually
Oh, really?
born in Canada.
Great.
And
Awesome. Good to know.
it's very American of us to just take them. They're ours now.
What would be an animal representative of America?
Wow.
Well, yeah, I don't know about that.
I'm staying away from that.
We'll
one.
circle back to it. I think we need to think about it more.
I mean, the buffalo would be the topical one, right? But we also almost eradicated the buffalo, so.
We can't do this without
It has to be some kind of
yeah.
species that its own
America's
worst enemy.
America's struggling on
Let's just go with bears.
just generally
Yeah.
bears.
I don't want to pick a certain one.
Look,
I don't need Dwight Schrute coming after me.
if the Orlando Solar Bears can have the polar bear as a mascot, why can't America?
See,
All right?
exactly. We could be the Solar Bears. Anyway, it's bald eagles, and we reclaimed them this week. Suck it, Canada.
I don't endorse this message as
So-
an honorary Canadian. It was decided yesterday. It's not recognized anywhere, but I feel I have dual citizenship.
Can we go to the border and like test this?
No, I promise.
Trust me, I don't have my passport, but it's fine.
I tell you, all the adventures I've had at the border recently, I am very on board with those. I'm an honorary Canadian. Look, I love Canada. I love hockey. I'm nice.
Nice.
It's fine.
Did want to get to the Avs' fourth goal, though, not just because of the game, but it's Evan Rodriguez who finishes one, puts it in the back of the net. Obviously did not play great the other night. I don't think he had a very good start to this game either, but puts it together, does what needs to be done.
He had kind of a mini breakaway
Yeah.
at one point where he just doesn't do much with it. And you could see as soon as he missed it, he immediately looked up.
Gave the whole
And
body language was
like-
bad. Yeah.
And it was not great. It was not great at all. But then when he scored that goal, I mean, you love what that goal is because he's just beating a goaltender.
That's
It's
just
a great shot.
A missile.
It's
Yeah.
a laser, man. It's perfectly placed. Just beats a big goalie too. A guy that just naturally taking up a lot of space. Because Sogard is like 6'7". The guy's a monster.
He's not small.
And just absolutely beats him cleanly. And it's a great finish. And he needed that. The Avs really needed it. You really, really want that to be something to build off of moving forward.
Yeah. It's especially down the stretch with the realities of the Avs lineup where, MacKinnon will be back when he's back, whether it's end of season or a week before, whatever, it doesn't matter. Consistency from the Avs non-superstars, I'll put it that way. Look, you've gotten the world from Nathan MacKinnon over the last 15 games.
Yeah.
You've gotten more than enough from Mikko Rantanen, especially in the last 3, 4, 5 games. Cale Makar has turned it up quite a bit for you.
Really, your defense,
as a whole,
your defense has really locked in at a really good level.
Yep. Which does bring us to our king of the game.
Lars Eller.
You could make a case for the referees as like the jesters of the game, but I'm giving this one to Cale Makar more than anything because he was the key factor in the Avs coming out and starting this game the right way. Gets the first goal clearly.
So it wasn't just that. I think what pushed me over for wanting it to be Makar as well was that late in the game, he's out there protecting the lead. Doesn't take a penalty, unlike a MacKinnon who I'm not sure what that was.
Yeah.
But regardless, I'm not going to get into that. More officiating weirdness, honestly.
Yeah.
The dog's barking.
What's that?
The dog's barking.
Yeah.
He's doing a little more than barking, I
No
think.
kidding. There was a hint of a bite on that one. But it's the way that Cale was just dominating shifts later on in the game when it looked like the Avs' legs were not going, not like, hey, man, they're just going to survive this. But like they had slowed down to the point where they were no longer controlling pace of the game. And Cale Makar was out there, all 3 zones, just working.
Again, this is a guy that played 28 plus minutes last night.
Yeah.
Doing that to the end of the game.
And the penalty kill, as much as it was tested tonight and didn't have complete success, he was, I think, what helped Jonas Johansson because he was allowing a lot of rebounds. And Makar was there to clean those up, sweep them away, and tend to the net front, as you expect of a defenseman on the PK. But he also helped Jonas Johansson a little bit. I shouldn't say a little bit, quite a bit, to have the night that they had collectively.
And I would give credit to a lot of Avs for doing that tonight.
Definitely.
You could see the commitment from Colorado, the blocking shots, doing things like that.
Yes.
They knew who was in net.
Yeah.
Not trying to be rude, but they knew.
No, they needed to support him in a way that isn't Georgiev.
Yep, for sure. And they did. So credit where credit is due in that regard. It was enough to get the win. And again, not taking anything away from JoJo. He had a couple good saves early in the game. Obviously had the big save at the end of the game.
Yep.
This is more or less what I expect from Jonas Johansson. He makes the easy saves for the most part. He gives up a couple that I don't love. And then a couple that you're not asking him to do much more on because they're just nice plays. But when it came time to close it out, he makes the big one pushing across. And he gets all the credit in the world. I mean, he creates the rebound because he kicks that thing right to that guy. But on what might have been Ottawa's best break of the entire night, that puck goes right to a stick and should have been a goal. And JoJo hard push with the left foot
get back over,
gets across, and that's one where him being 6'6", 6'5", whatever it is,
helps.
Yeah, he needed it because the leg was deep into the net, and he needed that. Pavel Francouz is not making that save.
True, just.
He may not give up that same
size.
rebound, but whatever. But difference being that was one where Jonas Johansson's just natural size was a huge boon to him, but he also, technique-wise, hard push, gets across, does what he needs to do, and makes that save. Would you, if we're a Senators pod, we're probably lamenting the fact that he didn't get that up at all, and that there was all of the net to shoot at, and he failed to put a more competitive puck on net. But ultimately, that's just a great save.
I think it was Chikrin, who I forgot was an Ottawa Senator for a minute. I could be mistaken on that, but I honestly felt similar to AJ that this was to expectation and that it's not to the detriment of Jonas Johansson. But I want to say, too, late in the third, I had no worries. I knew the Avs were going to scrape it out. I knew that they were going to survive the last few moments of this game with Jonas Johansson in net, and I think that's partly a credit to him. I had trust in him that they were going to come out of this game with a win in those moments. There are parts of it that were a little bit ugly, but this was to expectation in my perspective.
To expectation, sure. Happy with you on the end of the game, saying you had confidence in the Avs to do it. How did you feel about that first chunk of the third period where the Avs, let's be honest, they let Ottawa back into the game? I get it. I get the refs are a part of that. Good enough or needs to be better?
On the second leg of a back-to-back, I'm willing to grant a lot more allowances. I thought it was ugly, but I also don't mind ugly wins sometimes, especially on the second leg of a back-to-back. It's reminiscent of an Avalanche team that finds many different ways to win, and interestingly, I love the way you described that it was like 3 different games in each period. The third period felt different from the first and second. I thought there were so many positives about the first and second that I'm willing to part ways with what I felt about the third period.
Here for it.
Well, and when you have a 5-2 lead, it is a SEGABABA. Ugly wins are part of life. Like, what I felt good about walking away from it, obviously the 2 points is great. The regulation win is really great.
Yeah.
That you've got 6 of 6 on this road trip, and that there's really no bad outcome. 2 days from now in Detroit on Saturday.
At worst, you go 3-1.
Yeah, barring injury, you don't feel like results-wise, there isn't a single thing that can happen on Saturday that makes you feel bad about the road trip. You don't love it if you lose 7-1 or whatever, but you're like,
Darren Helm's coming
whatever.
back, baby.
Yeah, he might be.
It's his homecoming too, so
I don't know for sure, obviously, but
I think after the way the fourth line played tonight, they opened that door wide open for Darren Helm to be like, "Hi, everybody, I'm Darren."
I mean, it's the guy we talked about, right? You did not love Matt Nieto's game tonight.
I didn't love the fourth line as a whole.
Yeah.
There were things that Newhook is doing that I liked, but the penalty, obviously, we could quibble with the penalty.
It's still a penalty on the score sheet,
but
yeah.
it's one of those things that a fourth line just can't be doing.
Yep.
You're talking there. Newhook this year has been a little penalty prone.
It's true.
And with limited ice time, that might be a thing that is problematic. But also, I mean, the turnover from Matt Nieto that leads directly to, I believe, Ottawa's second goal. Man, it's bad.
I think it was the second goal. Yeah.
It's just bad. It's just a thing that you just can't do that.
Yep.
You really, your fourth line is out there, and we're not out here to hurt you mode. What I think was interesting was that the fourth line played the way that it did, and then got shifts in the third period, like several of them.
And like some of that is you're up with the lead on a SEGABABA, right? Like you're trying to use
Yeah,
legs and
I get
away
it. But
with
if you really feel that strongly about how poorly they've played, because that's a line that you were terrified in a tie game last night
and
to use.
I get there's some
Different game
problems
situation,
there.
different games. I get
also
it,
think
but-
there were at times a good effort from that line. You saw Galchenyuk working deep in the offensive zone. You saw Newhook generating some opportunities, and I get it. That's like you said, a line you're more worried about them not hurting you than generating stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was horrible. I'll put it that way.
How would you rank it? Rodriguez game yesterday, fourth line game today.
I mean, I thought Rodriguez's game yesterday was a 0 out of 10. So I would say the fourth line was better than Erod was yesterday.
I disagree.
It's
Okay.
fair.
Yeah, I would put the fourth line below Erod.
I didn't feel that strongly about the fourth line's night tonight.
Okay.
I just can't go that negative with it on a night that they win. And you know what? They won with Erod's bad game yesterday. So
Yeah.
maybe I should be fair to him as well. Anyway, on that note,
Well, and I would say with the Erod struggles yesterday, today was the exact response that you wanted.
that's definitely true.
And then I think if they don't make a lineup change, you know, even if they did, Helm for Galchenyuk would be the easy swap there.
Yeah.
You will feel like that fourth line is going to give you a much better effort in the game on Saturday.
More consistent for sure.
And I think they'll be looking to have a response for this game in the same way that Rodriguez had a response for
True.
last game.
Yep, true. On that note, if you have been unjustly penalized by a referee, don't call Bacchus and Schenker. They can't help you. But if you've had an injury situation where you're not at fault, they have got you covered. You can call 222-2222 here in Colorado. And Bacchus and Schenker will give you a consultation for free. If they think you have a case, they'll take it on for free. It costs you nothing to get what you deserve until you win. They don't get paid until you get paid. So you get what you need, what you deserve, what you want. Any of these situations, if you've been hurt, whether it's a car accident, even if you weren't the driver, if it's a rideshare situation, they got you. If it's at work, if it's some other strange situation, like I don't know, you slipped and fell because they didn't clear their ice. P.S. My neighbors, can you shovel your sidewalk, please?
Super targeted advertising.
Bacchus and Schenker, they've got you covered. Whatever the situation may be, they've been doing it here in Colorado for 25 years. So they're pretty good at what they do. They've won over $1 billion for their clients. That's with a B, billion. So they've been around the block a few times. We'll put it that way. Go to them. You can go to coloradolaw.net or call the 2 number to get to Bacchus and Schenker today and get what you deserve. Also brought to you by the wonderful people over at DraftKings Sportsbook. Got a pick of the week for you here today.
Is it combat juggling?
It is not combat juggling, but it should be. If you haven't ever watched combat juggling, by the way.
It is exhilarating.
This is like card jujitsu all over
It
again.
is. It's exactly like
No, card jujitsu I think was a lot harder for me to watch personally. It was kind of cool.
But
but combat juggling, I'm
actually
all
into
in.
combat
I'm all
juggling.
into combat juggling.
I had no idea these things existed.
It just later on, when you're doing the I'm going to bed and I'm going to watch an hour and a half of TikTok thing.
Combat
just
juggling.
search for it. Just search for it, and you'll be like the rest of the world. What is this? And then it's like, this is kind of cool. And then like you watch a dude get laid out, and it's like,
Juggling?
this is intense. Like these dudes are wild.
they whip a thing at a guy's head.
Yeah,
It's
they're like while they're juggling, they will throw stuff at the other combat jugglers, and it is crazy. Anyway, I always interrupt this read.
No, you're good. You interrupted, so I'm going to put you on the spot.
Oh no,
AJ, who's the champion in your bracket?
Purdue.
You're taking Purdue. Who did
Yeah.
Z take?
Kansas. Under no influence from me, for the record. She took Kansas.
I'm assuming you did not fill out a bracket.
No, I'll pick a school.
Go for it. Fire off.
Georgetown.
Here for it.
So they just fired their coach.
It's the new coach bump, all right?
I'm just like relieved they even have a D1 program. I had no idea where I was going with that, to be honest.
Georgetown has historically like a really good program.
After today, maybe you should have taken Princeton.
Z did.
Yeah, in the round one. Yeah.
Z did. She had no idea either. When I was like, hey, you got it right. She was like, I got what right? And I sent it, and she was like, so is my bracket perfect then? And I was like, oh, Lord, no. You've got most of the others wrong, but you got the 15 over 2.
You got the least likely one.
I was really hoping it'd be perfect.
She has like, I think she had 3 13 seeds advancing in hers. So it was like, it was pretty unlikely to get there, but I was really excited she got the 15 correct. She's never done it before, so this is her first time in March Madness.
Well, you don't have to fill out a whole bracket with DraftKings. You can just go bet on who you think is going to win any given game, the championship, make it to the Final Four, you name it. They've got you covered. Get over there, use the DNVR code. When you bet $5 with a new account and the code, you get $200 in free bets. So that's $200 to mess around with March Madness or with the NHL or the NBA playoffs coming up pretty soon. Lots of options out there. With DraftKings, you must be 21 or older, Colorado only. Other terms, restrictions, and conditions apply. See the show notes down below for details. And, of course, if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700. But if you are from Ohio, it's void. So don't root for Ohio teams. That's all I got for you. Third period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast presented by DraftKings. Is it going to fall?
It started to.
Uh-oh.
It's cool. I'll just keep my hand just like this.
While AJ tries to hang on to his mic, Lars Eller, obviously he gets the meme goal.
Oh, how'd you know that's what I was looking up? Seriously.
When are you looking up anything else?
Well,
You're obsessed.
Search history. Lars Eller. Lars Eller scoring. Lars Eller killing penalties.
Lars Eller matchups. Lars Eller highlights. Lars Eller wife. Lars Eller family. How to be adopted by Danish citizens.
Say Lars Eller.
But honestly loved his game tonight. You talked about the struggles of the fourth line. You saw Lars Eller in that third line flip that script and dominate this game at times.
You guys curious about matchups?
Yep.
So head-to-head primary matchup, and again on the road, picked by largely designated by the other team.
Yep.
Top matchup was against DeBrincat, Drew, and Pinto.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of iffy. Next matchup is against Kachuk, Batherson, Stützle. Dominated it.
You
Just
like that. You
trashed
like
it.
that. Yeah.
So in the last 24 hours, Lars Eller, Andrew Cogliano, and Logan O'Connor, that trio, has gone head-to-head with 3 of its 4 primary assignments being against Austin Matthews, John Tavares, and Tim Stützle, Brady Kachuk, and, that whole thing.
Yep.
And won 3 of those 4 matchups. The one matchup that they
Was
lose,
questionable. Yeah.
yeah, that they lose, not in dominant fashion, just kind of iffy, is DeBrincat, Drew, Pinto.
I mean, you'll
Closer to breaking even than losing.
Sure. And you'll take 3 out of 4 there every day of the week.
Yep.
The other side of that conversation, I saw chat talking about it earlier. Logan O'Connor, obviously the finish is still not there. You would really, really like to see him put the puck in the back of the net. But beyond that, dude is flying out there, putting the puck in the right direction. Can you ask more of him, Megan? Let me put it that way. Is it reasonable to ask him to start producing some goals, or is this enough with some of the assist production we've seen out of him?
You can ask for more.
Should I ask for more? Maybe that's the question.
It's really tough. 2 breakaway chances, no finish. But then everything else that he does is such value to the team that you can ask. I don't know if you should ask. I don't know. I don't want to limit him to that. I don't want to restrict him to not being capable of finishing. Sure. But so I think you can ask for more. But you are very satisfied with what he brings to the table, as evidenced by what we just described with what the third line brings to the table.
Yep.
You definitely want to see more because honestly, he's already exceeded what he's been able to do last year, that there is more in him. you can ask for more. It's just hard to say where that is, the ceiling is presently.
Sure. And like you said, I don't want to knock him too much for it. Yeah, look, I get it. 2 goals and it's like 54 games now. You need to score. You need to score at a certain point.
And it's not so much just the 2 and 54. It's we know what's happened.
Right.
How many breakaways have been stopped with that guy? How many open nets, pucks has he flubbed? Look,
it's not 2 and 54 with no high danger chance.
You can easily feel
how close it is. Yeah.
He's left 5 goals on the ice this year.
Yep.
And if he gives you, let's just say 3 of those.
And you don't know where those goals come from.
You have no complaint whatsoever about the guy. We're not having any conversation.
That takes a guy to a 11, 12 goal scorer if he gets 3 more. Like at that point, it's not something you're complaining about.
Yeah, I mean, we don't really have any complaints about Cogliano, and the big reason there is because he's pumped goals in.
He's got 12 goals.
Right. And you're like, well, okay, we'll take that.
Yep.
He's exceeded those expectations, and with O'Connor, I think he's met them just fine. But you absolutely can feel like, bro, you get a breakaway every 3rd game. You do. There is.
Do you practice this at this point? Isn't it regular enough that you?
He practices it in games. He's right there, right there. But yeah, for 98% of his game, what's the issue? He doesn't take penalties. Skates his ass off. He's physical. His teeth are crawling out of his face, and other players seem to want to always try and punch them back in. So I don't know what he says to other dudes. So other players hate him, which you love.
He's chatty.
He's everything that you want in a bottom 6 player, except he gets too many breakaways that he doesn't score.
Do you wish he had less breakaways? Maybe he would be less disappointed.
How would I feel if Ben Myers had all those breakaways and didn't score, and he was still sitting on the one goofy ass tip goal of the year?
You're the one tracking all his opportunities to score.
Yeah, he's had a few breakaways too. Not all right. So they're more like odd man rushes. They're not like
they're never clean
breakaways.
Yeah,
Benny.
We do have a couple super chats to get to here.
He's great though. How do you not? How do you not love LOC?
Myers and LOC. But LOC specifically.
Yeah, because he just brings so much value to your team every night. He does important role player things that you love. If that guy does not replace Dan Heinold as role player fan favorite, I rebel against the Avalanche fan base.
It doesn't hurt that he's got 2 more years at $1 million.
Yeah, and then after that, he can continue to be here for $1.5 million. We'll give him a raise.
$50. Drew giving us a raise tonight. So is player safety going to look at Tkachuk trying to kick Byram in the back of the head? Hack and slash all you want, but even for me, that's too far. 30 years in the league, and even Tkachuk has been a goof, so not shocking. I can't say that I saw it specifically.
Yeah, that little tussle that they had along the bench, so he pulls the helmet off and he tries to kick him in the head. It's bad. It looks bad.
Not great.
I mean, I forgot that happened. I'm glad this person brought it back up. That was ugly.
It's a thing where if you watch it in slow motion, you can easily find, and especially as Tkachuk on his nameplate, you could find yourself assigning a 10 here.
Yeah.
Pretty easily, just being like and of course we're all like hyper protective of Bowen Byram
specifically.
For obvious reasons. So I doubt the player safety will look at it because they're not going to look at something that didn't happen.
They never do.
This thing almost happened, so Brady Tkachuk is suspended 1 game. Where you can tell that they did one voiceover.
As the video shows.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So they're not going to. I would be shocked if they did anything if this was ever brought up again. But it was a thing that we can always look back to and be like, yeah, I definitely remember when that happened. Because it did. I mean, that was a thing.
Brady, I'm in your walls.
Megan's coming. $2 for from Kevin, rather. Excuse me. Late to the show, but Avs win. All is well.
Tiff throwing shade at Rue.
Hey, it's fine.
I threw some shade yesterday, and Megan was the only one that heard it. It was really.
I try to remember it was. I just remember it was hysterical. My wife.
My
Okay, that was
wife.
so funny.
My wife. Thank you for the $2, Kevin. Thank you for the $50, Drew. Much appreciated. Yeah, I don't know any complaints about this game. Again, are completely minor and locked into this game specifically. The Avs are 3-0 on this road trip. They beat the two best teams they're going to play on this road trip, and maybe the best team they're going to play the rest of this season. I don't know how you cannot feel really, really good about this hockey team at this moment. Finding what they need. I'd have to check the Dallas score, but I heard they were losing. If that happens, the Avs are now 3 points back.
2-0 Edmonton with 12 to go in the third.
So you feel pretty okay there. It's Edmonton. But, if that goes the Avs' way, they're 3 points back with 2 games in hand and a game against Dallas. It's gone from 7 points back to 3 points back in 2 nights.
Yeah.
And you feel like they're right back in the race for the division and possibly even the conference. Times is good.
Conference is still tough just because the Pacific teams are doing a good job winning games.
And they get to play bad teams all the time.
Because Vegas, they are 6 back. The Avs are 6 back of Vegas.
Sure.
With 1 game in hand.
So, not impossible, but pretty tough.
Yeah. And that said, it will be 2 games in hand at the end of the night, and Vegas is down 2-0 to Calgary right now.
So if that
Early in the second, though.
So it's a conversation if things go the Avs' way.
Yeah, we're 6 back with 2 in hand with 16 to go. You're really talking about you need to make up those 2 points. Obviously, you win the games in hand, but you have to make up 2 points. Making up 2 points in 16 games is something you can absolutely do, especially with the schedule that they have. But it's still, I think, a more a nebulous enough of a concept that we're still going to focus on Central for now. Really, focus on Minnesota, home ice in round 1. And if that ends up turning into the Central Division, Yahtzee.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad. That's all I got for today. Any final thoughts or anything you two wanted to touch on?
Slack over.
Yeah.
Wait.
Watching those come in one at a time.
It was just so
Where
good.
is it? Is it private?
You're not in the DM here.
Oh my god.
He wants to know about the shirt, so I slow rolled him on the.
Why you wanna?
Take us out. Get us out of the show.